It's now my great, great honor to introduce this year's Douglas G. MacAgy Distinguished Achievement Award. Established in 1996 and named after the director of the California School of the Fine Arts, which is of course now SFAI, MacAgy was director from 1945 to 1950. And he was a transformative director and an extraordinary thinker, and this award is therefore given to a person, to an organization or a group that has made singularly compelling contributions to the Bay Area, especially concerning public awareness of issues and ideas in the visual arts. Bay Area artist, activist, and educator Mildred Howard has consistently engaged and served her community for more than 40 years as a professional artist. Besides having taught at every major art institute and university in the area, including, of course, SFAI, where she also served as on the board for nearly a decade, Mildred has worked extensively in schools and with at-risk and underserved populations, such as the homeless and the incarcerated. She continues to put the faces, voices, hopes, and dreams of her community at the very heart of her work, whether in her extensive and highly decorated public art career or in the consistent work of production of sculpture, assemblage, and works on paper. Howard is a pillar of the Bay Area art world without whose contributions we would be so much poorer, so much weaker, and so much less assembled as a whole. Mildred is an extraordinary person, an extraordinary agent of change, an amazing artist, and it is a huge honor for me to invite Mildred to the stage. Mildred Howard. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you.
First, I'd like to begin by thanking you, Gordon, the Board of Trustees, the faculty, and the students of SFAI. I have a limited amount of time, so please bear with me. About maybe 3 decades ago, I was given a tape by Reiko Goto, a former graduate of SAI, now in the UK. And the tape was a recording by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk. What he said has remained with me for my entire career. And what he said is, when I look at a newspaper, I see the sun, the rain, and the forest. Most people just see the news, but as artists, you might see a whole universe, even in something as simple as a newspaper. Take this glass of water, for example. Everything that you want to know about this glass of water is right there. What happens if you project multiple lights? Sometimes it reflects and refracts. What happens if you move it somewhere else? Will you see to the other side? This leads me to the next point, and to those of you who are graduating today. You are the heirs of an incredible legacy, the great minds that have passed before you. And some of them are in the audience, and many of them are sitting here on the stage. The alumni and faculty who came before you have made their names in the art world. It's your turn. So remember their faces, get to know who they are. Right above you, you'll see some names of some individuals. You may not know them, but they passed through these gates also. You will carry your creativity with you for the rest of your life. The trick is to put everything you have into it. Make it your own, the focus of your life. Forget about the word ART. What you are doing is a life's work. Regardless of whether or not you have a day job, 3 or 4 hustles, your family, your kids, it's gonna be with you. Don't let creativity atrophy. SFAI is a place where creativity is honed and perfected. It is a proven form for the development of conceptual thinking. This may be the most critical piece of your education, the ability to think about artwork conceptually, not just to make it. Kehinde's work is a great example of that power. conceptual thinking to propel an artist to great heights. So much with who would thought that in this country, 2 African Americans in the White House, one painting the other. And this is because his images are more than the sum of their parts. They have a strong conceptual underpinning that invests each piece with layers of meaning. You may be hyped as the next star in the art world, but believe me, it won't pay your bills. Doors may open and they may not open. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. And don't believe the hype. Just because the doors may not open at this moment, does not mean that they won't open later. And it is important to remember, especially as young artists, that your work is yours. You own it. You are the author. You have ideas. That is a real treasure. Not everyone's going to have that. And at the same time, it is dangerous to completely disappear. I guarantee you that you will need someone, some of your classmates, an instructor, someone to write a letter of recommendation. I didn't get here by myself, and many people sitting on stage with me and in the audience today have supported me throughout my entire career, and for which I am grateful. It is also important to remember that there is a world beyond the bubble of the art world, a bubble that often reflects a privileged and somewhat aloof perspective. I recently moved from my studio of 18 years in Berkeley to a new space in Oakland overlooking San Pablo Avenue. It's a place where people hang out and the living room is the streets. So I used to work and volunteer in neighborhoods like this, and now I'm right there in the mix. The people hanging outside of my window are homeless, unemployed, down on their luck, possibly not in this world for much longer. It is important in this short life to reach out to those less fortunate. Look what Bill Gates is doing. He's sending all these low-income kids to school. So from my window, I draw inspiration from the music on their radios, the language, and in some ways, the friendships of my neighborhoods. They remind me of the ephemeral nature of existence. In my latest prints, I have been using a lot of floral imagery, collaging elements from vintage books about roses. And when I look out at the people on San Pablo, I realize that they are the flowers, unique, beautiful, and gone before you realize it, which brings me to the point of diversity in its broadest definition. Diversity may be out of fashion in the White House, but it is being embraced by those of us in California. The fight against diversity is being lost. The case is closed. The jury is reading the verdict. We won. And it's largely due to this new generation, your generation. Never forget that the United States is just an idea. It always has been. It's an idea that has been continuously formed and remade. So you as artists are in the unique position to remake this nation because you are not afraid of change. In fact, you are driven to make change because you have this virus of creativity. It is a gift. It means you are looking at the world with your eyes open, up close, and with a wide-angle lens. And if you find a way to see the glass as half full, you will be poised to change the world. There's much to celebrate today as we continue to hold each other up. Thank you.